The silent throne, the stellar Concordat assembly, stretched across an artificial moon, its crystalline dome capturing starlight from 3 different galaxies. Inside, representatives from 400 civilizations gathered in tiered rings, each species displaying their power through elaborate thrones, holographic banners, and ceremonial guards. The Vorthans brought floating platforms of liquid metal. The Seraphim Coalition arrived in ships made of living light. The hegemony of scales displayed their might with warriors standing 7 meters tall. But one seat remained empty, that it sat in the middle tier, neither too high to claim superiority, nor too low to show submission. The throne was simple compared to others carved from a single piece of dark granite from Earth, with only a small blue and green sphere etched into its back. No guards protected it. No banner flew above it. No representative had claimed it in over 300 years. Ambassador Kriegstyle of the Vorthan Empire couldn't resist anymore. His tentacles writhed with amusement as he gestured toward the empty throne during his trade route proposal. "Perhaps we should remove this relic," he said, his voice echoing through the translation matrices. "Earth sends no one. They contribute nothing. Why should silence have a seat among voices?" Laughter rippled through the assembly. The hegemony delegates stomped their feet in agreement. The crystalline collective hummed with harmonic mockery. Even the usually neutral void touched seemed to pulse with quiet amusement. 3 centuries of silence, Kriegstyle continued, his confidence growing with the crowd's response. They built 1 colony ship, sent 1 pathetic message asking for membership. Then nothing. They're probably extinct by now, destroyed by their own primitive nuclear weapons. More laughter. Louder this time. High Chancellor Velinash of the Seraphim Coalition raised a glowing appendage. "The human seat remains by treaty. Ancient law demands. Ancient law for an ancient failure," Kriegstyle interrupted. "My people have conquered 17 systems since Earth went silent. The hegemony has enslaved 12 species. Even the smallest number races here control more space than Earth ever claimed. Yet we pretend their silence deserves respect?" The assembly erupted in debate. Some called for the seat's removal. Others argued for tradition. But through it all, one common thread emerged: mockery of humanity's absence. What none of them knew was that humanity was not absent. They were watching. Commander Zarachan stood on the observation deck of the HSS Requiem, one of Earth's Ghost class vessels. The ship drifted in dark space, its hull coated in light-absorbing metamaterials that made it invisible to every known sensor. Around her, 37 similar vessels maintained their silent vigil, recording every word spoken in the Thean assembly. "They're laughing at us again, Commander," Lieutenant Torres said, his jaw tight with controlled anger. Sean's expression remained neutral, but her fingers drummed against the command console. "Let them laugh, Lieutenant. Record everything. The Council needs to see this." 3 days after Kriegstall's speech, the First Fleet disappeared. The Vorthans had sent 12 scout ships toward the Sol system, officially for stellar cartography, but everyone knew the truth. They wanted to claim Earth's resources, to prove humanity's weakness. The ships entered the outer edge of human space, broadcasting their superiority, their weapons powered, their crews singing war songs. They never returned. No distress signals. No debris, no explanation. Simply gone. At first, the Vorthan Empire tried to hide the loss. But secrets don't keep in a galaxy full of spies. Within weeks, whispers spread through trade stations and diplomatic channels. The scout fleet had vanished. Near Sol, 12 ships, thousands of crew members, gone without a trace. Perhaps they encountered an anomaly, suggested a delegate from the rings of Goshen, one of the minor species. But others weren't convinced. The hegemony, never to be outdone, sent their own probe. A single dreadnought, the pride of Scales, equipped with the finest shields and weapons their empire could produce. It broadcast its approach to Sol on all frequencies, demanding Earth's immediate surrender or face annihilation. The message that came back chilled the assembly to its core. It wasn't words. It was video. The pride of Scales, the unstoppable dreadnought, drifting in pieces, but not destroyed by weapons. The hull had been carefully, precisely disassembled, every bolt removed, every wire separated, every component catalogued and arranged, in perfect order, floating in space like an engineering diagram. The crew was alive, sealed in escape pods, arranged to spell out 2 words in the void: go home. The assembly stopped laughing. Fear began to creep through the great hall. Delegates whispered in corners. The empty throne no longer looked like weakness. It looked like a threat. Some suggested sending diplomatic envoys. Others wanted to declare war. But none could answer the simple question that began to haunt them. If humanity could do this to their ships, why did they stay silent? The smaller species, those who had been conquered or subjugated by the great powers, began to share different stories. They spoke of human traders who appeared in frontier markets, always alone, always polite, never staying long. They mentioned mysterious assistance during plagues or disasters, medical supplies appearing without explanation, broken machinery, suddenly working encrypted files containing solutions to unsolvable problems. They help us, whispered Ambassador THRL of the Forgotten Sectors. When the hegemony's virus killed half our population, human medicine appeared in our hospitals. No payment asked, no credit claimed, just help, then silence. But the great powers didn't want to hear about human kindness. They wanted to know about human weapons. The crystalline collective, beings of pure energy and thought, sent their own investigation. Not ships this time, but consciousness itself, projected across space to observe Earth directly. They expected to find a dying world, a frightened species, hiding behind primitive defenses. What they found broke 3 of their projection matrices. Earth wasn't alone. The entire Sol system hummed with hidden activity. Stations carved into asteroids. Ships darker than space itself, moving without engine signatures. Mars transformed into a fortress world. Jupiter's moons hollowed out and filled with something the crystalline couldn't comprehend. And around Earth itself, a defense grid so complex, so intricate, that merely observing it caused feedback loops in their collective consciousness. But most terrifying was what they sensed in human minds. Not fear, not aggression, just patience. Infinite, terrible patience. The crystalline collective's report to the assembly was brief. Humanity is not hiding. They are waiting. Waiting for what? Demanded Crickstow, his earlier bravado crumbling. The answer came in the form of a message, broadcast on every frequency, in every language, to every corner of the galaxy. It wasn't sent to the assembly. It was sent to everyone else, every small species, every conquered world, every slave race, every forgotten colony. The message was simple. You are not alone. When you are ready, call for us. Panic erupted in the assembly. The great powers realized what humanity had done. They hadn't stayed silent out of fear or weakness. They had stayed silent to listen. For 300 years, they had watched every conquest, catalogued every atrocity, recorded every act of oppression, and they had been preparing. We need to strike first, roared General Kermoth of the hegemony. Unite our fleets. Destroy Earth before they... His words cut off as every light in the assembly went dark. Emergency power kicked in, casting everything in red shadows, and in that blood-colored light, a figure stood beside Earth's empty throne. Not physically. There a projection, but one so real that delegates could feel its presence. A human woman in a simple black uniform, no weapons visible, no threats made. She simply stood there, one hand resting on the empty throne. "I am Admiral Sarah Constantine," she said, her voice carrying despite the translation matrices being offline. "Humanity speaks now." The assembly held its breath. "For 3 centuries, you've laughed at our silence. You've mocked our empty seat. You've sent fleets to test our borders." She paused, her eyes scanning the terrified delegates. "Did you think we didn't notice? Did you think silence meant absence?" No one dared respond. "We chose silence because we were learning. Learning your languages, your cultures, your strengths." Her hand tightened on the throne. "And your crimes." When silence speaks, the projection of Admiral Constantine flickered, and suddenly she wasn't alone. The assembly gasped as thousands of human figures appeared throughout the hall, not solid, but clearly visible. They stood in every shadow, every corner, every space between delegates. Men and women in black uniforms, their faces calm, their eyes recording everything. "We are already here," Constantine continued. "We have been here all along." Krixtal's tentacles went pale. "Impossible. Our security, our shields, were designed to stop weapons and spies," the Admiral interrupted. "Not anthropologists and historians. We came to observe, not to conquer. Every one of your worlds has been visited. Every one of your cultures documented. We know you better than you know yourselves." High Chancellor Velinash found his voice. "What do you want?" "Nothing." "From you." The response was flat, dismissive. "You have nothing we need? Your technology? We surpassed it a century ago. Your resources? We harvest dark matter from black holes. Your territories? Space is infinite." "Then why?" The question came from Ambassador Trill, barely a whisper. Admiral Constantine turned to the small, forgotten delegate. For the first time, her expression softened. "Because of you. Because of the species you've conquered. Because of the worlds you've enslaved. Because someone needs to stand for those who cannot stand." The hegemony's General Kurmoth slammed his fist on his throne. "You dare threaten the hegemony of scales? We have ruled for millennia. You have 27 slave species." Constantine cut him off. 14 conquered worlds, 6 ongoing genocides. We know the location of every prison camp, every slave ship, every execution ground. We know because we've been there. We've recorded every scream, every plea, every desperate prayer for help. Her projection walked down from Earth's throne, moving through the assembly like a ghost. Where she passed, holographic images appeared, scenes of atrocities committed by the great powers. The Vorthan Empire's bioweapons reducing entire populations to genetic soup. The hegemony's slave pits where children were bred for labor. The crystalline collective's mind wipes, erasing entire cultures from existence. "Stop this," Krixtal demanded. "You have no right. We have every right." The Admiral's voice turned to steel. "You gave us that right when you laughed at our silence. When you sent fleets to claim our world. When you planned to divide our system among yourselves." She stopped in the center of the assembly. "But more than that, you gave us the right when you forgot the most important truth of the universe. Silence is not weakness. It's preparation." The lights in the assembly suddenly blazed to full power, and the delegates saw what they had missed. Every shadow that had hidden a human projection now revealed something else. Weapons, not pointed at anyone, not threatening, just present. Weapons that bent light around them. Weapons that hummed with energies the assembly's scientists couldn't identify. Weapons that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "The Shadow Fleet," Admiral Constantine announced. 7,000 ships, currently surrounding every major military installation in the galaxy. We're not hiding anymore. Panic erupted. Delegates scrambled for communications, trying to warn their fleets, their worlds. But every channel was filled with a simple message in their own languages. Stand down. Await instructions. General Kermoth rose to his full 7-meter height. This is a declaration of war. The hegemony will do nothing. A new voice echoed through the chamber. Another human appeared, this one physical, not a projection. He walked through the main doors like he owned the place, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. I am Admiral Marcus Stone, Commander of Earth's military forces. General Kermoth, your fleet commanders have already surrendered. Impossible. Stone touched a device on his wrist, and holographic displays showed hegemony warships floating powerless in space, their weapon systems simply gone. Not destroyed, not damaged removed, as if they had never existed. We gave your crews a choice, Stone explained. Surrender and live, or fight and watch their ships dissolve around them. They chose wisely. The Vorthan ambassador's tentacles writhed in terror. You're conquering us? No. Both admirals spoke in unison. Then Constantine continued alone. We're liberating them. As if on cue, the assembly's doors opened again. But this time, it wasn't humans who entered. It was members of the slave species, the conquered worlds, the forgotten systems. They walked in slowly, fearfully at first, then with growing confidence as they saw their oppressors cowering. A young Threnari, a species the Vorthans had enslaved for centuries, approached Krixtal's throne. The humans came to our world last. Night, they disabled every slave collar, opened every prison. They gave us weapons and asked one question: are you ready to be free? Similar stories echoed from every freed species. The humans hadn't conquered, they had enabled. They hadn't imposed their will, they had returned free will to those who had lost it. Ambassador T.H.R.L. stood on shaking legs. Why now? Why reveal yourselves now? Admiral Constantine returned to Earth's throne, but she didn't sit. Because you crossed a line. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council voted in secret to invade Earth simultaneously. You thought your combined fleets could overwhelm us. She smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. You thought wrong. She pulled out a small device and placed it on Earth's throne. It projected images into the air, the secret meeting, the war plans, the division of Earth's resources already being negotiated. We could have stopped you violently, could have turned your fleets to dust, your worlds to ash. She looked at each delegate in turn. But that's not who we are. We're the species you mocked for our silence, the ones you called weak for not taking our seat. We're humans. And we've learned that true strength isn't in conquest, it's in choice. Admiral Stone stepped forward. So here's your choice. The old order is dead. The age of empires enslaving lesser species is over. You can accept this peacefully, help build something better, or you can fight and lose everything. And if we refuse? High Chancellor Velinash asked, though his glow had dimmed considerably. Then you'll learn why we stayed silent for so long, Constantine replied. We weren't hiding from you. We were protecting you from us. Humanity has a dark side, Chancellor. We've waged wars that turned continents to glass. We've built weapons that crack planets. We chose silence because we were trying to evolve past that. But if you force our hand, ... asterisk, she didn't need to finish. The threat hung in the air like a blade. For long moments, no one spoke. Then slowly, Ambassador Trail of the Forgotten Sectors stood and walked to Earth's throne. He bowed deeply too. Admiral Constantine. The Forgotten Sectors recognize Earth's authority and request alliance, not subjugation. One by one, the smaller species followed. Then the medium powers. Finally, even some of the great empire's subordinate members began to defect. The assembly was restructuring before their eyes. Krixtal writhed in fury and fear. You'll destroy everything. The order we've built. The order you built on the backs of slaves? Constantine challenged. Yes, we will destroy that. But we'll build something better. A true concordat, where every species has a voice, not just the powerful. She finally sat in Earth's throne, the first human to do so in 300 years. Humanity takes its seat now, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Not as rulers, but as watchers. We've seen what happens when power goes unchecked. Never again. Admiral Stone addressed the assembly one final time. Go back to your worlds. Free your slaves. Dismantle your conquest fleets. You have one solar. Rotation to begin. Those who comply will receive our protection and technology to help rebuild. Those who resist. He gestured to the window. Outside, space itself seemed to shimmer. For just a moment, the assembled delegates saw them thousands upon thousands of human ships, each one darker than the void, each one armed with weapons that defied understanding. We'll be watching, Stone finished. The assembly dissolved in chaos. Some delegates fled immediately. Others tried to negotiate. A few, like General Kermoth, raged and threatened. But within hours, the messages started coming in. Slave collars deactivating across the galaxy. Prison worlds opening their gates. Conquered species taking back their homes. As the great powers. Representatives left. Admiral Constantine remained in Earth's throne. Ambassador Troll approached her cautiously. May I ask you something? She nodded. Why did humanity really stay silent? The truth. Constantine was quiet for a moment, then smiled sadly. Because we were afraid, not of you, but of ourselves. We've destroyed our world 3 times over. We've committed every atrocity you have, and worse. We stayed silent because we were learning to be better, and when we saw you making our mistakes, you decided to stop us. We decided to give you the choice we wish someone had given us. As the last delegates left, Constantine stood and placed her hand on Earth's throne one more time. The granite was warm under her palm, and she could feel the weight of centuries of silence finally lifting. Outside, the shadow fleet began to disperse, not returning home, but spreading throughout the galaxy. They would watch, protect, and ensure that never again would the powerful prey on the weak without consequence. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's silence, mocked their empty chair. Now they understood the truth. Humanity's silence hadn't been absence, it had been judgment. And Judgment Day had finally come. In the empty assembly hall, Earth's throne no longer stood alone. Around it, the freed species had placed their own seats, forming a circle with humanity at its heart. Not above, not below, but equal. Together, the age of silence was over. The age of justice had begun. Asterisk.